Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you enjoy my video today, please subscribe, and if you click on the bell next to the subscribe button, you will be notified each time I post a new video. In today's video, I'm going to share the process I used to create this art journal page. First of all, I'm using a background that I had previously created. I didn't like the colour of it. It was in greens and browns, so I've gone over it with a couple of coats of gesso, and now I'm going to use these Colour Blast powders in an assortment of greens and yellows. I sprinkle the powders on the background and then give them a generous spray with water, and then move my paper around to make the colours move around the page. I apply several layers of the colours until I'm happy with the look. I then dry that so that it's completely dry. I'm going to create the paper now that I'm going to use to collage the tree. I'm using watercolour paper and Twinkling H2Os. So to prepare the H2Os, I have sprayed them liberally with water and just allowed them to sit there for a short time. And I've taken a wet brush and randomly applied the colour here and there on the papers, trying to achieve a mottled, colourful paper. This is then set aside to dry. I wanted a bit deeper colour, so I took some distress inks in greens and yellows and a blending tool and worked a bit of extra colour into the background. Now that my H2O coloured papers are dry, I'm just cutting them into strips of probably about 3/8 of an inch thick, maybe about half an inch, something like that. And then I'm going to cut them into various lengths and work out a pattern on my background to create my Christmas tree. I want the colours to be mixed up. I don't want them to be sitting right next to each other. I use my Nellie's multi-frame star die to cut a star for the top of the tree out of gold paper, gold cardstock, and I also use the same cardstock to cut the pot that the tree will sit in. Using Craft clear stamp numbers and some black StazOn ink, I stamp randomly in the background all over the page using first, second and third generation stamping. I then use some watered down gesso to create white splatters in the background. I've put the splatters on quite thickly, but by the end of the page they disappear. The colour soaks into the background. I then attach all of my pieces to the background using some gloss gel medium. I apply the gel medium to both the bottom and the top of the paper that I'm applying, because I do want to do some shading on this with my big brush markers, but I do end up having to go over the whole page with gel medium again just to make sure it is waterproof. Off camera, I've used this die to cut lots of gold baubles to decorate my Christmas tree. I have attached these with glue. The tool I'm using is a pick-me-up tool by Silhouette. It has like a blue tack end which hangs onto the pieces, and on the other end is a pointed end that helps you put things down. I now apply a coat of regular gel gloss medium over the whole page so that it is non-porous and I can use my big brush markers for shading. I'm going to use my Chrome Oxide Green big brush marker to shade now. I apply the ink and then rub it with my finger to smudge it, creating a shadow. Then using middle purple pink, I do the same technique to shade the tree. These Pitt pen markers are Indian ink based, and once they are dry they are permanent. To give my tree a bit more detail, I take my black big brush marker and detail the joins, or the branches I suppose you might call them, in the tree. I brush the colour on, wipe it with my finger, and then decide it's a bit too heavy, so I wipe off the excess with a baby wipe. Using this sketch plan pen, it's a permanent ink, I detail the Christmas tree. I'm looking for some white on this layout, so I use this pearl pen in white and just put dots of white throughout the background. I assumed that because it said it was white, when it dried it would be white, but unfortunately when it dried it wasn't very white at all, it was mostly clear. I also used my Glossy Accents to give the baubles a shine. You can see here now that it's dry that the white pearl pen is really clear and there is no white to that at all. So now I'm going to move on to the border. I'm going to use these large pens. First of all, I decide to use the fine end, but that doesn't last very long, so I move to the thicker end and I'm quite happy with the result. I take my white gel pen and do some detailing on the tree. For the title I use these Bella glitter alphas, they're a chipboard alpha. I use gel medium to stick them down, and because of the textured background it's very hard to get them to stick, and I use a black pen to just detail slightly on the letters of the title. Here's a photo of the completed page. I hope you enjoyed my video today. Don't forget to subscribe so you can see my new videos as they become available. I would love it if you would share my videos with your friends. I love reading your comments too, so please don't forget to leave one for me.